A swift, cool breeze blew through the curtains into the highest room of the royal palace. The room of Queen Alexandria. Her faint, sobbing cries now echoed in the loneliness. The drops of her tears moistened her cheeks as the cool gust made them pale and frigid. In her hands she clutched the silken handkerchief, too wet to soak her tears any longer. It was late, time for her to rest. But Alexandria couldn't fall asleep when her heart ached. It hurt. Her mind now felt so numb. It had been hours she had been weeping, unable to let out her sorrows. Your Majesty, may I come in? Come in, Lydia. Hearing the faint cries of the Queen, Lydia, her servant, came up to check on her. She walked into the room holding a lantern and a tray of figs, pomegranates, and cheese. Lydia felt heartbroken just seeing the Queen's red, teary ears. Your Majesty, don't cry like this, Lydia said as she sliced the cheese and fruit and presented it to her. This will help you sleep, Your Majesty. You haven't had dinner. I'm not in a state to eat, Lydia. Lydia picked up the comb from the dressing table and began brushing through Alexandria's hair. Your Majesty, you'll fall ill. How can a woman live like this, Lydia? Every passing day makes everything worse. It makes me feel worthless. Your Majesty, you're the Queen. It doesn't befit you to say such. And what can the Queen do about this? Nothing but weep, Lydia. I'm helpless. I possess no power to change anything. Your Majesty, perhaps there is something you can do. What? Why don't you make a sacrifice to the goddess Achelous? She is the one who relieves all pain, the one who removes all grief. If there is anyone, it is the goddess who can help you. A sacrifice to the gods? Yes, Your Majesty, but in order to reach her, you will have to speak with the oracle at Dodona with an offering to Achelous. Then make immediate preparations and send word to the oracle to come to the palace. Your Majesty, the oracle doesn't leave the groves of Dodona. Those who want to seek the blessings of the gods have to travel there to meet her. Very well then, we shall travel to Dodona tomorrow. And so, the next day, Queen Alexandria ordered for hefty platters of gold and jewels, vessels of honey, olive oil, milk, fruit, and barley brimming to its top, as a gift, an offering for the goddess Achelous to be prepared. That afternoon, she, along with Lydia and a few other servants, traveled to Dodona with carriages loaded. Word was, the oracle lived in a small cabin in the groves of Dodona by the sacred olive tree. Your Majesty, there it is, the sacred olive tree. Shall I request her to come out? No. I shall go myself. Queen Alexandria got down from the carriage and walked to the oracle's home. Knocking on the door, an old woman opened and stared at her and Lydia. "I am the Queen, Alexandria of Wanina. I have come to seek your help, to call upon the goddess Achelous." The old woman let out her trembling hands and held Alexandria's. "The gods only speak to those who pleases them. I have brought many offerings, and I am willing to sacrifice." Lydia ushered her hands, calling forth the numerous servants who held the heavy platters, and placed them in front of the cabin. "Achelous surely helps those in misery. If she deems your offerings worthy, she will bless you." Shaking, the old woman walked out, not to the gifts, but to the old olive tree by her home. She stood there and began chanting. Alexandria watched as a sudden gust of wind rustled through the trees. She noticed there were small pieces of hollow bronze hanging from the branches. As the winds began, a shrilling noise rang in the air. The weather seemed to be getting quite harsh. And Lydia became fearful lest something occur to Alexandria. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should leave." Alexandria raised her hand, commanding everyone to stay in their places. All of a sudden, the old woman turned around. The night fell silent once again. "Your request has been heard. Return to your home and seek the pleasure of Achelous. You shall soon receive what you desire." Queen Alexandria returned home desperately, waiting for the goddess to answer her prayers. Over the days, she offered sacrifices, setting a dove free to the goddess every night. She stood there, staring at the night sky, calling out to her. "Achelous, I call to you for your help. Only you possess the powers to help me." However, there was nothing but silence. Alexandria didn't lose faith. She continued to try to please the goddess. Until the night of the full moon, she stared up at the skies and called out, "Achelous, when will you remove my pains? When will you take away my grief?" Alexandria sighed and turned to go back to her room. When suddenly, she heard a strange, chiming tune of the winds, and a soft voice call out to her. "O mortal, do you not know patience is a test of faith?" Alexandria turned around in shock. Absolutely mesmerized by the glowing brightness of the goddess standing in the light of the moon. "Achelous, forgive me, for I have been impatient for your blessings. It is only you who can help me." "I've been watching you, Alexandria. I can see the grief in your heart. This is why I call on to you. I seek your help desperately." desperately, "Bless on me, O Achelous. Wash away my pain. Remove from me my misery." Fear not, O mortal, for the heart of Achelous feels for the weak and feeble. I shall bestow on you what you desire. The goddess stretched forth her hands together. Alexandria watched in amazement as her hands filled with an illuminating liquid. It suddenly appeared as a golden bowl that she placed into Alexandria's hands. "This is the water of the full moon, the cure to all your grief. It shall wash away your pains. You shall no longer have that which makes you miserable." Alexandria clutched onto the bowl, bowing her head to the loving goddess. But before she could say anything more, the goddess disappeared in front of her eyes. Alexandria rushed back to her room and carefully placed the bowl by her bedside. When her husband, King Calus, entered the room, "Have you not gone to sleep yet? I was waiting for you." Calus walked up to Alexandria and stared at her. "Is there something you want to tell me?" "No." "Is it unusual for a wife to wait? You must be exhausted. I don't want to keep you up." Calus laid down in bed, and Alexandria beside him. It wasn't long before he fell asleep. Alexandria hurried and took the bowl Achelous had given her. She took a deep breath. From tonight, her miseries shall end. It had been nearly 10 years since Alexandria married Calus. Over her days at the palace, she fell in love with him and cared for him greatly. But Calus was not faithful to her. He was a devoted worshipper of Zeus, the father of the gods, and he followed his way of life. Calus fancied many women of his liking, and of course, none could refuse him. Alexandria felt betrayed and heartbroken. Did her love have no value? But there was nothing she could do about it. She was not married to any ordinary man. She was married to the king that did what he pleased. She didn't want to leave him. She loved him dearly, and she wanted him to love her back, and to only her. But over the days, things only got worse, because Calus didn't care for what Alexandria felt. "Your Majesty, the king is occupied. He will not be seeing anyone right now." "Have you forgotten who you are speaking with?" "It is the king's orders, Your Majesty." "I command you to open the door." "Yes, Your Majesty." Alexandria cried every time she discovered Calus had been with someone else. Every time she could still smell their perfume on him, she cried. She cried herself to sleep every night, unable to bear the grief any longer. She was hurt, and she wanted this to end. King Calus woke up startled, drenched in water. Alexandria, what do you think you're doing? It is for us, Calus. You will be mine forever. Only mine. What did you pour on me? What is happening? Alexandria! Alexandria watched as Calus's skin began to illuminate. She watched, overjoyed in happiness. She would finally have what she wanted.
Ah!
But when Calus began to shout, Alexandria stumbled back in horror. Calus began to disperse into dust. Alexandria ran to hold him, but Calus's hand disappeared in her palms. No. No! Alexandria cried. Alexandria cried, falling to her knees as her husband disappeared in front of her eyes. Staring at the full moon, illuminating in the sky, Alexandria came to realize what she had done. Achelous, she who washes the grief away, she who casts away the pain, she who removes the source of sorrow. You shall no longer have that which makes you miserable. Alexandria ran out under the moon and yelled to the heavens, Achelous, return to me all my pain, return to me all my grief. But is it too late?
If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family.